What is up YouTube, and welcome to this Deadpool 2 video. So if you are new to the channel, please consider leaving a like and a subscribe down below. So Deadpool 2, if you've seen it now, there will be spoilers in this video, so thankfully you've seen Deadpool 2. I absolutely loved it. Part of me was a bit annoyed the fact that it was so different to the trailers. All of the trailers made it out to be a lot different to what we got. X-Force perished very early. We didn't see any of the scenes in the trailers where we saw Shatter Star and Terry Crews' character Bedlam fighting. But, well, I guess that's the nature now with trailers. They want to deceive people as much as possible. Now, one of the big things here was that the real villain of the movie was actually Fire Fist. Cable simply went back in time to stop him before he committed his first murder, which would lead him down a really awful path. But Fire Fist was actually a different character in the comics, kind of. He was someone who can create flames. It was that. But the thing is, the character who first appeared in X-Force #1 is the fact that he's completely different. He was not a bad guy in the future and things like that. But Domino again was a big character in X-Force. Well, she first appeared in X-Force #8, and she was a really big character, albeit we never really saw the original Domino for quite some time. She was actually captured, the original Domino was captured, and we had an imposter for quite some time. Interestingly, we did have Negasonic Teenage Too Long of a Name, as Deadpool called her, but we had a character here who she is actually having a relationship with, and this was Yukio. However, she is a different character. Yukio was in the Wolverine, however, she is a lot more much like Surge, a character who was debuted in 2004. This Surge is named Noriko Ashida, and she has the powers of, well, electricity, which is pretty darned awesome. So she was actually a character who was featured and was raised and kind of mentored by the people at the X Mansion. So I guess there's some sort of semblance of differences and similarities there. Now, next up, we've got the Juggernaut. The Juggernaut is, of course, a huge character and a relation of Professor Xavier. He was last played by Vinnie Jones in X-Men The Last Stand. As he said, I'm the Juggernaut. So yeah, it was a really bad iteration. This version of Juggernaut is a lot cooler. Not sure if he's dead, as we saw him twitching at the end there. Wasn't sure if he had died or what, but it was pretty cool nonetheless. Next up, we've got Shatter Star, played by Louis Tan, who was barely featured in this. Now, he was, of course, an alien from the planet Mojo World. Mojo World, they are obsessed with television. However, he was actually sent to Mojo World and through time, and he was actually a relation and descendant of the Dazzler, another big mutant featured and hinted at in this movie universe. And next up, we've got Bedlam. Many of us were thinking it would be George Washington Bridge, but he's very briefly here as a Bedlam, a character who can disrupt electrical fields. And, well, yeah, you get it. He can disrupt absolutely everything. He was first in X Factor, or Factor X, sorry, #1 in 1995. And next up, we had Zeitgeist, a character who was in X-Force #16, played by Bill Skarsgård, Pennywise himself. Now, later on, Zeitgeist actually went on to become the leader of the team itself. Now, interestingly, he went to go and save a group in the comics, and the entirety of that X-Force team that he led, they all died instantly. Now, next up, we had Vanisher, played by Brad Pitt. And interestingly, he was going to be playing Cable in Deadpool 2, but he was not able to play that role due to scheduling commitments. The Vanisher is a very different character who can teleport, but again, the very funny moments here where the backpack was just flying was great. Now, next up, a big one here is Hope Summers. Now, let's remember that Cable here is a descendant of Cyclops, and as well as that, a clone of Jean Grey named Madeline Pryor. Now, we did have Hope, who was mentioned, and his daughter is Hope. She was the first mutant to be born after Scarlet Witch said no more mutants. So that is very big there. Hope Summers. Now, they haven't gone this mutant route with her, I think, but we don't know yet. We don't know how she is in the future. And another huge shock, I was just sitting there in disbelief when they killed off Black Tom Cassidy, a character who has a kind of stick, a shillelagh, which he uses to focus energy. And, well, he is a very, very big collaborator of Juggernaut, who they actually teamed up to take over the Twin Towers together. Yeah, pretty interesting. And they actually took hostage Gideon and Robert Acosta. And lastly, one of the last, we have Irene Merriweather. She was a TV reporter in the movie, and she was an ally of Cable called the Chronicle, or the Chronicler even. Now, next up, we've got Mr. Sinister. Now, this is big. This is big here because in X-Men Apocalypse, we did have a character referenced, which was Mr. Sinister. The Essex Corp was referenced, and he is a supervillain who is very, very intrigued in the Summers line, and he was one of the people who caused Cable's techno-organic virus, giving him that bionic arm. And, well, that wasn't mentioned at all, and I expect them to explore that just a bit more. And it'd be very cool if Essex Corp was the ones behind the whole Weapon X program, and Mr. Sinister is very interested in creating mutants for a clone army. So expect that possibly to pop up maybe in the next X-Men film, Dark Phoenix. I hope so. I hope so, at least. However, that is it for this video. Please drop a like. Please do subscribe. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.